about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above.
What's going on, friends? Aaron Hacho back with the Beards and the Bees with our the third hive inspection video. So, recap really fast. Last week what we saw was a lot of, they're of course building out that comb some more. We had a lot of capped brood that's just incubating, waiting to come out. And they're packing in honey and syrup and even a little bit of honey. Smoker works on us too. That being said, so for this week, what we're expecting to see is maybe brood has a 21-day period. So as soon as it gets laid, it's 21 days, hatches new baby bees. So we might be able to see some new bees. We're right here on this fringe of whether or not the bees are just getting ready to hatch or not. So hopefully we see some, because that would be really awesome. And if not, we're definitely going to get some in our first month hive inspection.
So last week we had two questions. The first question we have is, what is brood? Which is actually a really good point because you were just talking about brood. People don't know what brood is.
Okay, brood is basically all the babies. So you have everything from eggs to young larvae, older larvae, and then what's called cap brood, which is they make the capping, that wax capping over top. So day one, egg gets laid,
Brood.
It's still considered brood, but it's an egg form of brood. And then if you look at it through the days, we'll get further into this as we're getting into like queen splitting and stuff like that. The egg starts to curl, turns into a U, and then they get fat because the bees will put a little bit of the royal jelly, which is what they use to make queens. All brood gets a little bit of that royal jelly. And then for all the workers, they stop giving it royal jelly and they start giving it the bee bread, which is the pollen and the syrup. So, and then from there on, once they get a good amount into that cell, they'll cap it.
But the queens get just only royal jelly when they're making
exactly.
a queen.
So once they cap it, that brood just sits there and eats all that stuff. It grows, and then little bee is formed. And then the queens, that's all they get. So for the queens, they have to fill an entire thing up with the royal jelly. So they make what looks like a peanut off of the actual frame. So those are level. The queen cell is actually like a peanut that sits off of it, and they fill that whole thing with royal jelly, and that's all she gets. And something in that develops her ovaries and elongates her and all that other cool stuff. But we'll get further into that as we get on later. So what was the next question?
The next question comes from my father. He wants to know why we're giving him sugar water and what the sugar water does.
The sugar water is basically a substitute for what Mother Nature's normally going to give her. As you guys know from science class, the nectar that they pull out of flowers is basically glucose that is, bonded together to make nectar, which is water. It's basically sugar water that's coming out of the thing. So what we do, because we know either if it's in what's called a dearth, that's when there's no nectar flow, or if it's too early in the season or too late in the season, if it's out in the nectar times, or if you just plain have a brand new hive, we need to supplement nectar when there is none, or if there's a short supply. That way they're not worried about that, because they use that for their wax glands, and then that's how they draw. So they go up, they take the sugar water or the nectar, because they're still going to take nectar no matter what, and then they bring it back down, emulsify it, and then they turn that into the wax that falls out the cell. So that is very important, especially when we have a new colony, because we need them to draw as much wax as possible.
The comb, the honeycomb.
Or as much comb as possible. That way we can fill all that with our brood for one. That's their number one thing.
Yeah.
And then with honey, pollen, and all that other fun stuff.
But they don't necessarily need it. It's just like a jump start, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They would figure it out on their own if we didn't do it. But what we're trying to do is give them as big of a head start as we can before wintertime comes, because we're going to try to overwinter our bees. So if you get to late summer and they're still trying to draw out comb and they're still putting brood and trying to hatch all that, it's too much. So we want as strong as ball as we can for the wintertime. So, yep, there we go.
Well, those were our two questions.
All right, those are our two questions. So that being said, let's get to our hives, get in this inspection. We're going to try to go a little bit quickly because the rain's coming in and out, but this is going to be pretty much our only day to do this. Here we go. Okay, so getting started, as you can see, I put a strap on these. I actually loosened it up just now. And the reason I put a strap on strap on. The reason I put this strap on these hives is because what we don't want to do is we don't want the lids to go flying off as it whips up this hill, or high winds coming out of whichever way. We don't want the limb to come down and knock anything over. So it keeps these lids on, that way they don't get any moisture in the hive and all that other icky stuff. I was just at the bee meeting and some guy had 2 hives, the lid came off overnight and he lost his bees. Just because they got a whole bunch of moisture in that hive. So bees just make sure the lids don't pop off. So, and if you're in New York area or any of the upper states or any of the western states that have bear, this is what they use to keep the bear out as well. What do you want to start with?
Let's do the Italians, because we always do the Carniolas first.
Okay, we'll start with the Italians first. I'm gonna keep the smoker handy, but I'm gonna try not to use it. They may be a little bit more restless today because of the rain and all that other fun stuff that they don't like. Notice I'm not using any gloves or anything, because as a beekeeper, I see a lot of videos of people not doing it, and I haven't gotten stung yet, and so I think it's time that either I get stung or I find that I have really nice bees. So it's kind of pointless to be afraid of getting stung as a beekeeper. So here's these new sugar feeders all set up, and it looks like nobody's been in here yet. So what I was wondering when I put them in is that there's actually a bottom board on there. I think I need to take that bottom board off. So, but yeah, so as you can see, as opposed to having those little cans we flipped over, this thing is filled with water, and there's about a gallon on each side, and they're gonna come up through this thing and use this as a ladder to go down and drink the syrup. So we're gonna take this off, and we're gonna set this aside, and we're also gonna take that bottom board off that way, because apparently that's stopping them from coming up. Put that honeybee healthy in there, and that's basically a lot of essential oils like spearmint and lemon seed grass and a couple other things, so it actually smells phenomenal right now. Yeah, see, we have no bees up here getting into that syrup.
Wow.
Yep, they're trying to, oh yeah, we've exploded, haven't we? Now, just for sake of saving face, if I get stung too much, I'm putting my stuff back on. But so far so good. All right, so we're gonna start with an outside. Pull this away. This just gives us room. I can see already that they're working on this. I also put in a couple frames, or moved around a couple frames this past week too, so you can see they're already on there. Oh look, they're already putting syrup in there.
Oh wow.
Let's see what we got here. I love looking at all the little faces staring at me.
They are pretty cute.
They're super cute.
Is it weird that I really want you to get stung? Like in a
bit.
loving way.
Yeah. Okay, so on the first frame, this is the farthest frame where they've, other than that little piece, where they've actually started putting stuff. They're putting pollen over here and a little bit of syrup. So, and then over on this side, wow,
they got a lot
of pollen on this side. They are packing it away. So look at all that pollen. Look at them work it. They stick their little heads down inside there. Look at this girl right here. She is down in there. So that's awesome. And they actually have a little bit of propolis right there, trying to glue that stuff together, so that means that's good. They're just starting to do it. Eventually these, I'm guessing probably next week, these things will be too sticky for us to even put in. The far side up, you can see all the eggs. You see them all in there?
That's the brood.
Yep, that's some brood, and they're putting brood over on this far side, so that's good.
I have a question. So the queen lays the eggs, but does she come to these frames and lay them? Or
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so she'll make her way through and lay all these eggs all over. So look, they got them all over on this side too. And she's got a good pattern here. So when it comes to pattern, you want all the eggs in the center.
I'm sorry, look at that one, that's funny.
Oh yeah, way down in there. Yeah, so you want all the eggs in the center, and then they make like a rainbow over top of it, usually with, well, this is all bee bread now. So this is the syrup mixed with the pollen. So that's awesome. So they're doing really well right now. That means that we're probably gonna have to be adding another box here, maybe this week.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, so that'll be awesome. We'll make another video. We won't do that without you guys. Okay, so we can see this side. We have more larvae.
Oh wow.
See all that little larva in there? That comb is almost all the way drawn out on this one. That's so awesome. Sorry, I need to take a look here. If you see the queen bee holler out. Okay.
Why are they making so much of that comb down there at the end of, at the bottom of this?
There's probably, because there's screen down inside there, so there's probably just enough space that it's violating bee space, and so that's what they're gonna do. Anytime you violate bee space, they're gonna correct it with either comb or propolis. So I'm gonna take it off. But this is all that, this is cat brood. So these are all babies in here. There's actually larvae all the way on the top. So this is almost a solid frame of brood, which is completely awesome. See, we got some girls down there, some pollen sacs.
I guess I was assuming that the queen stays in the center. I guess I thought that maybe the worker bees moved all the babies.
Nope. Oh wow, this was even more heavy. Okay, so not quite yet. We haven't quite got it yet as far as any babies hatching. They seem to be, I mean, this thing is so heavy right now.
How do you know if they would hatch?
Because all this solidness that's here,
Yeah.
that would be open. And so it looks like maybe, no, I think that's just where they're storing a little bit of nectar in between there. There's actually a larva down inside that one. I mean, it's possible they could have hatched out and they could have been some of the first, but I think we're just not quite there yet. But you can see here, this is actually really important. So these things, they look like little popcorns.
Yeah.
Popcorn kernels. These are actually not, they're brood, but they're not regular bee brood like these. These are drones. So these are the males. They're gonna be here.
That's really cool.
Yep, so the males are...
How do you know it's not a queen? Because it's popping out earlier. You said it.
Yeah, they don't pop out. They only pop out just like that. It looks like somebody took a straw and just blew some air into one of these cells. Whereas the queen, like I said, it looks like a peanut.
And so how do they make the drones? Like, what's the difference?
Not really much. The reason that the drones have, I'm pretty sure a queen can lay a drone, but a lot of times the actual girls will lay a drone.
The workers?
I think they will. Will they? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that the queen does lay some drone, but I know that they will also lay unfertilized eggs, which will make drones. So they may be laid by the things too. So, but that's the fun of beekeeping, is the research and the fun that's involved in that. And this side is the same thing. Just, I mean, by this time, I think this time next week, we're gonna have a whole bunch of bees. There's a queen, it looks like a queen cup. It's almost like a queen cup. It's not quite as big as a queen cup.
Oh wow, you can see the larva that's in it too.
Yep. So
is that a drone?
it probably will be a drone, because it's not quite big enough to be, it's kind of like a middle zone there. So, but sometimes when you see the drone comb, you want to be careful, because that could mean that they are getting a little cramped. Then they could want to start swarming, and that's what we don't want. A whole bunch of bees that have not been born yet. Wow. I'll tell you what, she is a rockin' laying queen. I love it. This could be, it very well could be. See how there's larvae down in between there? Can you see the little larvae down in there?
Yep.
So what could be happening is those could be some of the first ones that were laid, because as soon as they pop out, they will lay more in there. The queen will lay more in there. But like you can see, that whole one side over here is all just larvae.
God, they look so gross. Sorry, they
They
kind of
do.
remind me of maggots, so that's why they look gross.
They do. So I haven't been stung yet, and we're almost through this hive, so that's good news. I'm thinking though, I think we should add a box, Sam.
You think so?
I'm thinking so. This is all larvae, a couple days old.
You think we should add a box today?
Maybe. Because you want to get them right about 75% of the box full.
Okay.
There's a lot of eggs over here. She may be on one of these. But see, she's got eggs over here and eggs over here, so has a really good laying pattern. She's laying really well. Yeah, so this is almost all drawn out. I think we should add a box.
Okay.
Holler if you see her, because
Yeah.
I'd really like to see her.
I haven't seen her yet. I've been looking.
Yeah, she could be on one of these outside frames or over on this side and we just didn't catch it. Yeah, so this is all drawn. They don't have anything in here. Oh, there's eggs in here. That breeze on. I'm surprised we don't see that queen right here somewhere.
Maybe we missed her.
I think we did. That pollen?
Yeah.
Yes, that fell out of the cell as we were doing this. And so she's like, oh, no, wasted resource. And nothing in here, so
we missed the queen.
we missed the queen. She's in here somewhere.
Do you want to go back and look for her?
Let's pull just a couple of these frames out, just because I would like to see her. There's a lot of eggs on here. That's why I thought she would be here.
When I was editing the video back, the last from last week. Oh, there she is.
Where?
I spotted her so fast.
Oh, there she is. Yep.
Yeah.
Good job, Sam.
That's what happened when I was editing. I found her like so fast.
Good. So we know where she's at. So we're gonna put her back with her brood because she is laying this frame right now. So we'll let her have this frame. I think we have, as of now, we have 7 out of the 10. So that's 70%. And they're starting to draw these ones. So I said about 75%. So I say we add one. Either that or here's what we should do. Because I want them to get used to this sugar tray first. So I say we put them back in. I'm gonna put this sugar tray, take that middle board out. That way they have direct access to this thing. And then we'll go that route. And then we'll do, I got stung. I got stung. He went on my pant leg and I got stung. I'm a beekeeper.
Wow.
Never been excited to get stung before, but here I am. So yeah, let's put this box back on
Yep,
real quick
because it's starting to rain.
That's probably why I got stung. We're gonna use the smoke just to push these girls down into these frames because I don't want them getting squished.
Be down, be down.
It's going to hell in a handbag.
Watch.
War wounds. This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen. This is not fun and games. War wounds.
She took one for the colony.
That's right. She will be missed. Not by me, but by the colony. Is there anybody in there?
I do not see anybody in this, no.
Okay, so I think...
So we're, oh, there's one person right there, unless it's a dead one. I'm gonna take off this sugar water crap.
On this side of the frame, you want to bump this, no, with your hand, bump it.
Con mi mano.
Yep. This is middle school.
Do I need to get them all off?
Maybe better, but I guess you don't have to. There you go, you're good.
Should I smoke them?
That's totally up to you.
I'm gonna smoke them because I don't want to be stung. Hence
Okay.
the suit. Am I doing it wrong?
No, you're good. All you want to do is to get him to go down. You don't even need to use that much.
Yeah, but I like the smoke.
Oh, okay.
It makes me feel like a wizard or something.
Oh, okay. Sam's favorite part.
Okay. So I'm gonna use this tool,
Hive tool.
Hive tool.
We'll be having a beginner's course, by the way.
Yeah, we'll have a beginner's course. Starring Sam Honcho.
If you're lucky.
My lucky.
I might just call the neighbor at this point.
So I just wanna break them apart. Looks like there is syrup in here. A little bit of syrup.
Yep. Oh yeah, just there at the top.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they're working. All right, cool. So we're putting syrup in there.
But not much on the
other
back.
side. Yep. You can see where I kind of flipped a couple around in between the week. Sorry I didn't add you folks, but I just wanted to checkerboard is what it's called.
Did you checkerboard the Italians?
Yep, checkerboard them both. Not a lot, just a couple frames. Checkerboarding means just adding some of the in frames over into the brood. That way it's easier for them to get to build it.
Okay, so we got some pollen, we got some syrup. Oh, there's some brood in there too.
Some eggs.
Yep.
Little lacies.
Oh, is this bee bread in here?
Yep, there's some bee bread. So there's probably some eggs in there, or some larvae in there. Over there.
Oh, I see larvae in this one.
Yep, so that's what they're feeding that with.
Mm-hmm.
So now remember, when you see eggs, to pay attention for the queen, because that means she's been there sometime within the day.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see the queen. But
Okay.
what if I, oh shit. What if I accidentally squish one?
Well, usually if you notice when I do it, I hold the ends here,
Oh, okay.
and I keep my hands over there on the ends. That way it keeps you from squishing it.
Okay, because I think I squished one because I heard one go.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, here's the queen.
Where's she?
You can
Oh,
tell
yeah.
I'm a Midwesterner. Oh,
Oh. Where I can't see
towards
her.
the bottom.
There she goes. There's our queen. So she is laying that frame, I'm assuming. There's probably a bunch of eggs in there, right?
Yep, I see a ton of eggs. I see some pollen. I don't see any larvae yet. So she must have just started laying this frame.
Yep. We start in the middle. She's all the way over here. So she's
Yeah.
working her way that way.
Yep.
So where is she at? Does she come over into this side?
Nope, she's right here still.
Okay, make sure you know where she's at. What's on this side? Is she laying this side
Yep,
yet?
I see some eggs.
Here's all the eggs.
Yep. Oh, she's on this frame now.
She might have jumped over.
She did.
So we have all this cat brood on this side. Doesn't seem like anybody's hatched.
So it's a lot capped.
Mm-hmm. A lot of cap.
What is that stuff? Why does it look different in there?
Just a little bit more. It's just covered around. It's just up here. It's more clear. Sorry, let me get you in the frame. It's more clear up there because there's more light and there's less things covering it. So once you get down here with the black foundation, it looks darker.
Okay.
So yeah, looks like it's doing good. How's that other side look?
About the same.
Wow, yeah, that's, look at that. That's like a picture perfect solid frame almost.
Mhm. It is really heavy.
Yeah, I say they get really heavy. You can see all the bees flying around. So surprisingly, not wearing the suit, I haven't gotten stung other than the one time, and that was my fault. Because as soon as she felt something I went like that, and I squished her, so she stung me.
Yeah, these ones are a lot stickier.
That's what she said.
Yeah, so these ones are they have cap, they've got pollen, they've got larvae.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's some syrup at the top.
Yeah, but you can see the, you know, here you can see the band of pollen and bee bread, and then all the capped is in the center. They do that little rainbow.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
And this side looks like they just have pollen or bee
Yeah.
bread.
But see, you can see over here they're still working drawing this thing out. So as soon as they draw it out enough, they're going to start using it.
Yep.
And they'll make their way out. The Italian hive is in first place as of right now.
Aren't Italians usually in first place?
What do you mean, for bee wise?
I'm talking about like in general, aren't Italians like usually like the best? Like they have the best jewelry, like the best gold, the best cars.
Their women are hot.
Their food is really good. Sorry. This one looks like they just got some syrup and a little bit of pollen.
Sweet. Yeah. Anything on the other side? Oh yeah, you got that one just about the same as the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Are these two talking to each other? Look at.
Looks like it.
What the fuck are they doing?
They're probably, what they do, they may be trying to make a little bit of honey.
Wow, really?
Because when they make honey, they regurgitate it back and forth to one another.
That's
But-
sick.
Yeah, well, that's what honey is. It's bee vomit.
Well, I guess I'm never eating honey again.
Right. These 3 frames are essentially not being used at all. And so what we'll do is we are going to checkerboard these frames just a little bit. I don't want to go crazy because I don't want to separate them out too much. Take your Hive tool and put it on the end, very far end. Nope.
This way?
Nope. Not like right here.
Okay.
Now, just kind of turn it, and you want to push. You're going to use the blade to turn to push all these frames over. The brood is in these 3 frames here, at least these 2 for sure. So what we'll do is we'll take one of these, whichever one you want, and put that towards, yeah, put that one in there. Put that one right here. And I would not mess with that one too much, because let's keep those 2 brooded together. There's a whole nother brood on this side and then not brood on this side. So I say we put another one in between there. All right, just even them out on both sides. That way they're even, because you don't have too much space over here, not enough over here. Fantastic. All right, you're all done. Okay, so today's verdict is we still have that capped brood. We have a lot of capped brood in there. I'm very much so guessing by this time next week, when we do our next inspection, that most all of that brood will be out, and there will be new eggs already put in. As soon as they come, I mean, when they're born, they're instantly cleaning their own cell as they're being born, so that when the queen comes back, she can plop another egg in there and start over. So it's a good day. We checkerboarded Sam's Carniolan hive. So they're not going as fast as the Italians as far as drawing out the comb. Not sure why that is, probably just the breed.
I'm telling you, Italians are better.
They're both doing really well. So hopefully they do even better now that I got a lot more sugar syrup at their disposal, so that if the beekeeper doesn't go out there and see that their levels are low, I got to change it. So sometimes I go out there and it's completely empty. Who knows how long that's been. So we're going to keep going as we're going. Sam checkerboarded the Carniolan hive. That way all those side frames that don't have anything will be brought to the center underneath the syrup. Draws them out a little faster, because now they have this work site right in front of them. Other than that, we're going to be adding another box onto this hive, the Italian hive, because they're just going crazy, and they've got about 70 to 75% of that thing full, and that's right where you want to go. You don't want to go over like 80% full, otherwise that's when they start doing swarm cells. And in here, there was actually some drone cells, and usually drone go before the swarm cells. You need males so you can propagate. That being said, this is going to get another hive body in the next couple days. We will bring you guys along for that. It should be short and sweet. So, until next week, over and out.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above.
Did you want to say anything?
This week on Sam's Bees.
I really hate you sometimes.
I can't help it that I coughed.
You walked in front of your own smoker and started coughing.
Then I peed a little bit because I coughed.
It's gross.
Welcome to motherhood.